This video is brought to you by these YouTube members. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. Hello everyone and welcome to the top 10 speed characters on Bleach Brave Souls. There are so many good speed characters these days, and I was actually really sad I couldn't put some even on the honorable mentions, since I only limit those to 5. As always, please keep in mind this is my opinion, and I'm sure your personal list will vary, as we all play the game differently. With that said, let's begin.
本を読む片手間に木を育てただけさ。苗木の時からいろいろな手を尽くしてね。まだ終われんのじゃ。
Much like what I did in the Heart list with Yama, I'm also throwing Fukushima in this video, but not among the 10. Though in my opinion, Fukushima is way more useful than Yama outside of PvP. He's got an insanely high attack as well as a plus 20 bruiser, flurry, and poise. He's also got a strong attack 2 that's a boost move with enhancer, increasing his attack, defense, and focus by 33%, pushing his attack to well over 1000 for 20 seconds. In PvP, he's also completely immune from all damage for 10 seconds, unless of course you're going up against Yama, and that strong attack 2, in addition to being a boost move, is also a vortex move that surrounds him. Something that in PvP doesn't really come in handy that much, since he doesn't have a high SP, though he does have a plus 50 berserker, but it is quite useful in PvE, since it staggers enemies around him, increases the combo, and just acts as a shield overall. Tsukishima also has long reach, increasing the range of his normal attack, and his normal attack as well as his strong attack 1, his strong attack 3, and his special all inflict a status element drain, which heals Tsukishima, effectively making him one of the most durable characters in the game, especially when you take into account that he has a damage reduction soul trait, so he's already not going to take that much damage. Then we have his special. It may not deal that much damage due to his low SP, but it does apply weakened defense to the enemy, letting you deal a lot more damage with your normal attack afterwards, something that's quite useful in both PvE and PvP. Tsukishima is also completely immune to being weakened, which is also quite handy in both. But finally we have his killer. It's a Stern Ritter killer, and it's something that's only really useful in PvP, some floors in Senkaimon, and occasionally arena mode. And unfortunately, since we haven't seen a manga character in a while, it's likely we won't see an increase of characters this will be effective towards for who knows how long. Now unlike Yama, this character definitely would have been on this list, whether he was a PvP character or not. The reason I kinda decided to put him a little bit separate is because the placement of this character would heavily depend on how much a user plays and values PvP, which for me personally is really not that much. That said, it hasn't stopped me from using him because he's really good outside of it.
世界には君の知らないものもあるってことさ。終わりだよ。そんなこと。
Up next, we have the fierce battle version of Uryu. Now, I won't lie, when I first saw this guy get released, I was really hoping that we'd finally see a non-ranged Uryu. But nope, this guy's range 2, which is fine, I guess. I mean, it makes sense. Either way, this guy does have a really high SP and Frenzy and Berserker at 40%, meaning his strong attacks hit really hard. He's also got great range on him despite not having Havoc, with a full screen strong attack 3, a strong attack 2 that hits a very large area in front of him, and a strong attack 1 that also hits a large area in front of him. These attacks will always hit for max damage because he has guard break. And it's also a very good thing for his normal attack since he has a plus 40 bruiser, meaning it's actually a viable option, though it's likely you won't need to because of his 14% strong attack recharge link, which will let you spam your strong attacks faster than most. Uryu also has the ability to hit hidden enemies, completely removing the need for a Zeta Pill accessory. The combination of both this and guard break is amazing because it makes him an extremely fast character, not just against the wrong cars, which he has a killer for, and some of them can guard against ranged attacks, but against any kind of enemy that could also guard. Honestly, that's kind of it though. He's kind of a basic character that hits extremely hard, has fairly decent range, and enemies can't guard against him. I still have hopes that eventually we'll get him melee Uryu.
簡単には死なせないよ。さて、覚悟をしておくといい。生きて恥をさらす覚悟をね。
Now, Inosuke may not be as fast as some other characters, even those that I didn't put on this list, but man is he useful. He's got a lot of stuff going for him. He's got a really high SP as well as Berserker at 40% and Frenzy. On top of that, he's also got Guard Break and Havoc at 20, compensating for the rechargeability of his strong attack 2. While his attack stat may not be that high, it is actually pretty useful, since it attacks extremely fast, and because of the Guard Break, you don't ever have to worry about having to use a strong attack to break any guards. And it's actually a viable option thanks to his Bruiser at 40%. But of course, his strong attacks are where it's at. His strong attack 3 is beyond full screen, his strong attack 1 hits a large area in front of him, and his strong attack 2 is a hybrid vortex move that gathers enemies in one spot and then pushes them back. It's also a heal move that heals Inosuke and the entire party for 20% of their total health. In addition to that, it's also a barrier move that gives Inosuke 3 barriers and the rest of the party 1. It is a very useful strong attack for both support and crowd control, and it makes him a very useful character to have around, and he's quite handy in a variety of situations.
そんなに俺に負けるのが光栄かよ。バーニングフルフィンガー。
Next up, we have Basby, one of the few Sturmritter in this game. Seriously, Caleb, we need the return of manga characters. Basby has a really high SP as well as Frenzy and Berserker at 20%. He's also got Havoc at 20, increasing the range of his strong attacks, and he can spam them thanks to his strong attack recharge link. Basby's strong attack 1 is a lunge move, his strong attack 2 is near full screen, and his strong attack 3 is a charge move that when charged, becomes beyond full screen and doubles in strength. And even if you don't charge it, because he does have Havoc, it's very near full screen, which is really nice when you're in a hurry. Basby can inflict debilitating burn on all of his attacks. It's especially likely when he's up against power Arankars though, because he has an Arankar killer and he has an ability that increases the chance of him inflicting a status ailment to the power one specifically. He's basically a power Arankar's worst nightmare. I do both hope and think that we will eventually see him again, along with a bunch of new manga characters. The question is when. Next up, we have the movie version of Rukia. Now I absolutely love this character. It took me forever to get the original version of her, but luckily I was able to get this one at first try. This Rukia has a really high SP, as well as Berserker at 20%, Frenzy, and a strong attack recharge link. She's also got Havoc at 20, increasing the range of her strong attacks, and they can all inflict debilitating weakening, which is particularly likely against Power Soul Reapers, since she has an ability that increases the likelihood against them. That said, she's likely to do it anyway. Her strong attack 1 hits more times than the average strong attack 1, and her strong attack 2 is a hybrid vortex move that also hits more than the average number of times. It's got great range and increases the likelihood of inflicting it to anyone, not just Soul Reapers. Then we have her strong attack 3 that's beyond full screen thanks to that Havoc. If an enemy just so happens to be weakened, she's got an ability that increases the amount of damage she deals to weakened enemies by 20%, and this is across the board, whether it's her normal attacks, strong attacks, or her special. This Rukia also completely nullifies range resistances, which is really useful, since it means you can take her to more areas where she would normally be restricted. Topping things off, this character is also completely immune to being burned, which is just nice.
こんなもんじゃねえ。ここからだろ。楽しくなるのはよ。
Next up, we have the Spirit Society version of White Ichigo. Now I love this character, he's so much fun. And we do need to see more seasonal White Ichigos because every single design of him is just amazing. This Ichigo has a really high attack, as well as a plus 30 bruiser, a normal attack damage link of 20%, flurry, and poise. All of his attacks have a chance to inflict debilitating weakening, and he is especially likely to do it with a strong attack too because it's a vortex move that surrounds him. His other two strong attacks are also useful. They have great range, though they don't deal that much damage, but they are useful for knocking enemies down. Plus, he does have a plus 40 Berserker, so there is a little bit of damage there. Still, that strong attack 2 is where it's at, and he's able to use it more frequently than most normal attacking characters, because while he has a normal attack damage link of 20%, he has a strong attack recharge ability, letting him recover this attack faster. He's also got an ability that increases the amount of damage he deals by 20% as long as an enemy is weakened, which is applied twice thanks to the flurry. Not to mention you're dealing even more damage because weakening also lowers an enemy's defense, meaning that if an enemy is weakened, he's dealing a colossal amount of damage, and there can be even more damage too. This is because the special, in addition to dealing weakening, also debuffs the enemies, decreasing their attack and focus by 33% and their defense by an amazing 80%, which is something really useful just about everywhere, but especially in guild quests. All of these attacks cannot be interrupted thanks to his poise, and this White Ichigo also has guard break, meaning that not only can they not be interrupted, but they also can't be blocked. All of this while also being completely immune to being burnt.
よかったですね。大したことがなくて。
Next up, we have the swimsuit version of Retsu. The new one, specifically, since we do have another swimsuit version of Retsu, but that one's not that great. Though, a useful link. This Retsu has a really high SP, as well as Berserker at 20%, and Frenzy. She's also got a strong attack recharge link, letting her spam her attacks, and they all have great range thanks to Havoc at 20. Retsu also has guard break, meaning these attacks will always deal the full amount of damage, and it makes her a faster character for it. All of these attacks have a chance to inflict debilitating weakening, and her strong attack 1 in particular is very likely to inflict it. It hits multiple times for a strong attack 1, and it helps knock enemies back, which is good because she's a ranged character. Her strong attack 2 is a beam shot with great range, and her strong attack 3 encompasses an area beyond full screen, mostly in front of her, but you can still hit enemies behind. This Retsu has a Soul Reaper killer and she's able to read Soul Reaper dodges. On top of that, she's also completely immune to being paralyzed, which is a great thing to have if you have a Soul Reaper killer. She's also a potion drop character, but I'm not really counting that for anything on this top 10. Her special, on the other hand, I definitely am. It's a very, very useful special. It not only hits extremely hard, thanks to Devastation at 40, being a full screen, inflicting weakening, lowering the defense, but it also applies weakened defense to the enemies, debuffing their defense even more and dealing even more damage. And if that weren't enough, it also heals Retsu and her teammates for 60% of the total health, making this one of the best specials in the game. I'm really bummed out there was only 2 characters in this banner, but they knocked it out of the park with her, and I'm really excited for her to come back because I didn't end up getting her on one of my accounts.
燃えろ円月遊びは終わりだぜ
あとは頼みます
Next up, we have the character who potentially has the fastest kit in this entire list. And he's only at number 4, which really just goes to show how many great characters there are. Ichine has a really high SP, as well as Berserker at 20% and Frenzy. He's also got an ability that increases the amount of damage speed captains do with their strong attacks by 20%, effectively giving him a 40% boost on his strong attacks before Frenzy. All of his attacks have a chance to inflict debilitating burn, and his strong attacks have amazing range, partially thanks to his Havoc at 20. He's got a Beam Shot strong attack 1, a strong attack 2 that's very near full screen, and a beyond full screen strong attack 3. For those of you who don't know, this is effectively the fastest kit, and it's something that a lot of characters have, such as Spirit Society Biakuya, Noel, Camp for Your Own World Shinji, and so on. Though amazingly enough, he's only one of 2 speed characters that has this kit, and the only one with Havoc, and it makes him an extremely fast character when it comes to PvE. Ichine also has a Hollow Killer, and he's able to read Hollow dodges. To top everything off, he's also completely immune to being poisoned. I'm really hoping we end up seeing Ishine's Bankai whenever they continue the new arc. It was kind of hinted at in the manga, and it sounds like something I really want to see.
暑かったら言ってくんな別に塗る気しやしねえけどよ天才戦剣か
Now I can already hear all the people typing in the comments that Ichine is better than Tenjiro. And for the purposes of PvE and speed alone, I completely agree, since his kit is better and built for speed. That said, Tenjiro is far more useful. He also has a really high SP, Berserker at 20%, and Frenzy. Like Ichine, he also has an ability that increases the strong attack damage dealt by Soul Reapers by 20%, which is kind of a little better than Ishine's just because his is all Soul Reapers, whereas Ishine's is Captains. Either way, it effectively increases his own strong attack damage by 40% before Frenzy. Tenjiro also has Havoc at 20%, increasing the range of his strong attacks. He has a Lunge Move strong attack 1, a Beam Shot strong attack 2, and a Beyond Full Screen strong attack 3. All of these attacks have a chance to inflict debilitating paralysis. Tenjiro also has Sprinter at 2, letting him move faster throughout the areas, and allowing him the ability to dodge enemy specials a lot easier. Finally, we have a special. It not only deals a lot of damage and inflicts debilitating paralysis, but also grants protection for any ally alive when he uses it, since it brings them back to life if they were to go down at any point after. He's definitely a bit older than all the other characters on this list, but that said, he's still one of the hardest hitters and more useful characters on here.
我が剣筋刑に見切ることなど叶わぬ
Next up, we have the 5th anniversary version of Biakuya, who, while not at number 1, is probably the most useful character on this list. He has a really high SP, as well as Berserker at 40%, Frenzy, and Havoc at 20%. He's also got Bruiser at 40%, and he's got a boosted strong attack recharge link of 14%, letting him spam his strong attacks more frequently, which is something you definitely want to do with this guy. Now, for those of you who haven't been playing this game very long, Biakuya has a history in the game of kind of being a guinea pig. A lot of firsts in this game have gone to Biakuya. First Frenzy character, first character with the Vortex move that surrounded him, first character with the Vortex move in general, among a few other things. And while some of them worked out well, others definitely didn't. That said, by far the most successful guinea pig trial for Biakuya has been the Seeking Vortex move strong attack 2. Now so far we have 3 characters with the Seeking Vortex, though none of them are actually the same. Shunsui's just starts, Aizen's hits once before the Vortex starts, though it is tripled with Frenzy, and Byakuya's hits twice before it starts, doubling to 4 with Frenzy. This potentially makes his a little bit better actually than Aizen's. Discounting the boost with Frenzy Frenzy at 2 of course. But enough about that, we all know how great that strong attack is. His strong attack 3 is a hybrid vortex move that is beyond full screen, and his strong attack 1 blasts enemies in front of him and hits a high number of times. Biakuya also has Sharpshooter, which is essentially guard break and nullify range resistance in one, and it makes him really effective in a variety of situations, especially when you take into account that he has both a Soul Reaper and a Hollow Killer. To top everything off, he's also one of few characters in the game who has both Frenzy and Bombardment, which doubles the amount of times his special hits. Honestly, he's one of the most useful characters in this game, and I still stand by he is the most useful character in this list, but at a certain point, colossal damage can just overtake utility. Now before I get to number 1, here are a few honorable mentions. I just like to limit the honorable mentions to 5, and I like to put a little bit of variety.
行くぞ。浮かれていられるのも今のうちだ。
より強く美しく、私の輝きの前ではなすすべなどないのよ。そんな。
いくよー、ロクスクリッカ大戦乱舞。我が真紅の金光を望みたもう、現出せよエクスプロージョン。
久しぶりにやってみるか、剣道ってのよ。終われんのじゃ。
これで終わりにしよう。受け取れ。
そんなこと。
Ladies and gentlemen, colossal damage. Juicier is just insane. He's got a really high attack as well as a plus 40 bruiser, a normal attack damage link of 20%, and an ability that increases the amount of damage speed captains deal with their normal attack by 20%, effectively increasing his own normal attack damage to 80% before flurry. And it gets better, because his strong attack 2 is a boost move with enhancer, increasing his attack defense and focus by 33%, effectively pushing it well over 1,000. Not only that, but this strong attack 2 is also a barrier move, and Juicier has the unique ability, at least for now, of multi-barrier plus 2, which gives him 2 extra barriers every time he uses this move, meaning that every 40 seconds he can just have 5 barriers up, and it also gives any allies an additional 2 barriers as well, something that was normally limited to just 1, making him a very annoying character to go up against in arena mode, since he gives himself 5 barriers and his allies 3. It's also very difficult to stop this too, since he has poise and is completely immune to being frozen. This Juicier also has guard break, making him an extremely fast character, since he can just rip through enemies. Thanks to his flurry, his normal attacks now hit 4 times each attack, and it means that his normal attack string will hit a total of 16 times per enemy, not only greatly increasing the combo, but also greatly increasing the chance of inflicting drain, which he can do with his normal attack, his strong attack 1, his strong attack 3, and his special. This makes him insanely difficult to take out, since he can attack while being attacked, he's got a boost move that increases his defense, half the time he's gonna have barriers, and he's got a very good chance of healing himself anytime he attacks. What we've seen so far from the Beyond Bankai characters has definitely impressed, and I'm so excited to see what's coming next. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for some more top 10 lists.